We live in an age of endless notifications, constant comparison, and a world that rarely lets us sit still. Yet nearly 2,000 years ago, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus faced the same inner struggles: fear, anger, desire, and distraction. Their answer was Stoicism, a philosophy not of ivory towers, but of real life. Today, we'll explore 10 Stoic rules, not abstract theories, but practical principles that can help you live with clarity, resilience, and peace in our chaotic modern society. Rule 1. Control what you can, release what you can't. Imagine your phone dies right before a big presentation. You can panic, curse the timing, or spiral into frustration. But none of that changes reality. The Stoics taught us some things are within our control. Most are not. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." In today's terms, you can't control traffic, the stock market, or other people's opinions. But you can control your choices, your effort, and your mindset. This one shift alone frees you from much unnecessary suffering.
Rule 2. Practice voluntary discomfort. Modern life is built around comfort. We avoid hunger, cold, silence, and boredom at all costs. But the Stoics believed that too much comfort makes us weak. Seneca advised deliberately practicing discomfort, fasting, walking in the cold, or sleeping on the floor to toughen the mind. Why? Because when life inevitably gets hard, you won't be shocked. You'll be ready. In today's world, this might mean putting your phone down and enduring silence, taking a cold shower, or saying no to unnecessary luxuries. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about proving to yourself that you are stronger than your cravings and fears.
Rule 3. Focus on character, not reputation. We live in the age of personal branding. Social media teaches us to obsess over how we appear instead of who we are. But the Stoics warned against this trap. Epictetus put it bluntly: "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Reputation is fickle. It depends on others. Character is steady. It depends on you. In practice, this means prioritizing honesty over likes, discipline over applause, and integrity over image. Ask yourself daily, am I living according to my values, or am I just trying to look good? Rule 4. Use your time like gold. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Think about how much time vanishes each day into scrolling, worrying, or chasing things that don't matter. Time is the one resource you can never get back. The Stoic way is to treat time as your most valuable possession. Before saying yes to another meeting, another binge watch, another obligation, ask, is this worthy of my finite life? In modern society, guarding your time is an act of rebellion and one of the most Stoic things you can do. Rule 5. See obstacles as opportunities. Life will hit you with setbacks, job loss, failure, heartbreak. Most people see these as unfair roadblocks. The Stoics saw them as fuel. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "How can I use this?" That delay in your career? Maybe it's a chance to develop new skills. That breakup? Maybe it's an opening to rediscover yourself. Modern translation, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, if you choose to see it that way. Rule 6. Master your emotions. We live in a world that constantly provokes us. News designed to outrage, social media engineered to addict, algorithms that prey on anger and fear. The Stoics didn't say, don't feel emotions. They said, don't let emotions rule you. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Anger, envy, and fear are natural, but if you let them dictate your choices, you surrender your freedom. In practice, this means pausing before reacting, taking a breath before sending that angry text, choosing reason over rage. That's true strength. Rule 7. Live in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, nature meant two things: the larger universe and your own human nature. Modern society constantly pulls us away from both. We spend more time indoors, staring at screens than ever before. We chase endless consumption, forgetting that humans are wired for simplicity, for connection, for purpose. To live stoically today means returning to what's natural, spending time outside, nurturing relationships, eating simply, working with purpose. It's Rule 8. Practice negative visualization. Imagine losing the things you take for granted: your health, your loved ones, even your freedom. To most people, that sounds depressing. To the Stoics, it was a way to cultivate gratitude and resilience. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself daily that his loved ones were mortal. Seneca wrote letters imagining exile, poverty, and death. This wasn't morbid, it was freeing. Because when you've mentally prepared for loss, you stop clinging, you start appreciating. In today's terms, reflect for a moment before bed. What if tomorrow your phone, your home, your job were gone? Suddenly, the life you already have looks more than enough. Rule 9. Be of service to others. Stoicism isn't about retreating into yourself. It's about playing your role well in the larger human community. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, what brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee. Modern society glorifies self-interest, but Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes from contribution. Helping a colleague, being present with family, showing kindness to strangers. These acts align you with nature's design. We are social creatures meant to support one another. Service isn't just moral, it's deeply practical. A life of selfish pleasure is shallow. A life of service is meaningful. Rule 10. Remember memento mori. You will die. This is the Stoics' most powerful reminder. Life is finite. You could leave this earth tomorrow. Far from depressing, this truth sharpens life. It forces you to stop postponing what matters, to stop wasting time on grudges, petty arguments, and empty pursuits. In our society, death is avoided in conversation, hidden behind hospital walls and distractions. But the Stoics faced it head on. When you remember you are mortal, you stop living on autopilot. You start living deliberately. As Marcus Aurelius urged himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. These 10 rules are not about retreating from modern life. They're about meeting it with strength, wisdom, and calm. Control your mind, not the world. Welcome discomfort. Don't fear it. Build character, not just reputation. Guard your time like gold. Turn obstacles into opportunities.
Master your emotions. Live simply and naturally. Practice gratitude through negative visualization. Serve others. And above all, remember your mortality. If you live these rules, you won't escape life's challenges, but you will meet them as the Stoics did, with courage, with clarity, and with peace. So ask yourself, which of these 10 rules will you start living today?
Welcome back to Stoic Flow, Successful, Fulfilled Friends.
Life isn't about giant leaps. It's about the small things you whisper to yourself every single day. And those whispers, they shape your reality. So today, I'm giving you 12 powerful things to tell yourself daily. 12 mental shifts that can completely transform how you live. Short, simple, but life-changing. Let's dive in. 1. I control my response. You can't control traffic. You can't control rude people. You can't control the rain ruining your picnic. But you can control your reaction. Remind yourself every morning, I control my response. That simple phrase puts the power back in your hands. Stress reduced. Drama ignored. Peace protected. Because the moment you stop giving away your emotional remote control, life feels lighter.
Today is a fresh start. Yesterday, gone. That mistake, over. That embarrassment, history. Every sunrise is a reset button. Say it with me. Today is a fresh start. Why carry yesterday's baggage into today's opportunity? Instead, walk into the morning like you've been given a brand new life. Because, in a way, you have.
3. Progress, not perfection. Perfection is a prison. It tells you not to start until everything is perfect. But progress is freedom. Remind yourself, progress, not perfection. Write the messy draft. Go for the short workout. Take the tiny step. Little moves done consistently beat waiting for the perfect moment that never comes.
4. I am enough. Society screams, do more, get more, be more, and it's exhausting. But you, right now, you're already enough, flaws included. Telling yourself, I am enough, doesn't mean you'll stop growing. It means you'll stop hating yourself while you grow. And that's the foundation of real confidence. 5. Discomfort equals growth. Want muscles? You lift heavy. Want knowledge? You study hard. Want courage? You step into fear. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the gym where your character trains. Repeat it. Discomfort equals growth. Instead of running from challenges, start running toward them. Because every challenge you face makes the next one easier. 6. I don't chase, I attract. Stop begging for validation. Stop running after people who don't value you. Stop chasing approval. Shift your mindset. I don't chase, I attract. When you work on yourself, your skills, your health, your peace, the right people and opportunities naturally come closer. Magnet energy greater than desperate energy.
7. Small habits create big results. Think about it. A single drop of water doesn't carve a canyon, but drops, over time, they create the Grand Canyon. Your life works the same way. Tell yourself, small habits create big results. Read 10 minutes a day. Save $5 a day. Do 1 push-up a day. Tiny actions compound, and 1 year from now, you'll be unrecognizable.
8. I release what I can't control. Worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but gets you nowhere. Traffic? You can't control. Weather? You can't control. Other people's opinions? Definitely can't control. Say it out loud. I release what I can't control. Suddenly your mental load feels lighter, because freedom isn't having everything under control, it's learning to let go of what never was.
9. Gratitude first, always. Want a fast track to happiness? Gratitude. Tell yourself, gratitude first, always. Gratitude before the coffee. Gratitude before the paycheck. Gratitude before the success. When you focus on what you already have, you multiply your joy. And here's the secret. The grateful person is never poor.
10. Rest is productive. Let's kill the hustle culture myth. Sleep isn't laziness. Rest isn't weakness. Say it. Rest is productive. Because when you rest, your body heals, your mind resets, your creativity sparks. Burnout doesn't build empires. Balance does.
11. I choose peace over drama. Every day, you're invited to drama. Gossip, arguments, social media wars. But here's your power move. Decline the invitation. Whisper to yourself, I choose peace over drama. Not every battle needs your energy. Not every opinion needs your response. And not every loud voice deserves your attention. Protect your peace. It's your most valuable currency.
12. My future is built today. Don't wait for someday. Don't wait for motivation to magically show up. Tell yourself daily, my future is built today. Every choice is a brick. Every action is a deposit. Every day is an investment. Your dream life isn't built in a single leap. It's built in daily steps. And the step you take today, that's the one your future self will thank you for.
So let's recap the 12 things to tell yourself daily. I control my response. Today is a fresh start. Progress, not perfection. I am enough. Discomfort equals growth. I don't chase, I attract. Small habits create big results. I release what I can't control. Gratitude first, always. Rest is productive. I choose peace over drama. My future is built today.
If you start telling yourself these things, you won't just live differently, you'll feel differently. Better daily living doesn't come from outside. It starts inside, with the words you feed your mind. So, here's the challenge. Pick one of these phrases, write it down, say it every day this week, and watch how your life shifts. If this helped you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more life-changing content. And remember, your daily thoughts create your daily reality. Welcome back to Stoic Flow, Successful, Fulfilled Friends.
Life will break you. Maybe it already has. The loss of a loved one, a career that collapsed, a betrayal you never saw coming, or perhaps the quiet kind of suffering. Depression, burnout, the feeling that the world kept moving forward while you were left behind. Here's the truth. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you rebuild after. The Stoics believed that adversity is not the end of your story. It's the raw material from which strength, character, and wisdom are forged. Marcus Aurelius, who faced plagues, wars, and betrayal, wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." So today, let's talk about how to rebuild yourself after hard times. Not just
1. Accept what has happened.
The first step in rebuilding is acceptance, not denial, not pretending, but radical acceptance of reality as it is. Seneca reminds us, fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. When we fight reality, when we say, this shouldn't have happened, we chain ourselves to suffering. But when we say, it has happened, now what can I do? We take back our power. Think of a building after an earthquake. Before you can rebuild, you have to survey the ruins. You have to face what's broken. The same is true of life. Take inventory. What happened? What was lost? What remains? This honesty is painful, but it's also the foundation of growth.
2. Detach identity from circumstance. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe your relationship ended. Maybe your health was shaken. It's easy to confuse these things with who you are. But Epictetus taught that we are not our possessions, titles, or even our physical state. We are our choices, our character. If your house burns down, you are not a ruined person. You are a person standing among ruins, free to build again. Repeat this to yourself. I am not what I lost. I am what I choose to become next. This shift in identity is crucial. Without it, you rebuild in fear, clinging to the past. With it, you rebuild with freedom, creating a new future.
3. Find stability in daily discipline. When life shatters, the smallest actions can feel impossible. But Stoicism teaches that order begins in the little things. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." When everything feels uncertain, give yourself anchors. Wake up at the same time each day. Move your body, even if it's just a walk. Journal your thoughts to bring clarity to the chaos. Eat in a way that nourishes you, not numbs you. These aren't trivial. They are bricks in the foundation of your new life. Each act of discipline whispers, I am building again. I am taking control.
4. Reframe hardship as training. The Stoics believed that every hardship is a kind of training ground for the soul. Epictetus compared life struggles to sparring in the gymnasium. He said, difficulties show a person's character. They introduce you to yourself. Instead of asking, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Loss teaches gratitude. Betrayal teaches discernment. Failure teaches resilience. Illness teaches presence. Hardship isn't a punishment, it's preparation. Each difficulty is equipping you for the next chapter of your life, a chapter you couldn't yet see. These aren't trivial, they are bricks in the foundation of your new life. Each act of discipline whispers, I am building again. I am taking control. 5. Rebuild with purpose, not just comfort. When people try to rebuild, they often aim for comfort. I just want things to be easy again. But the Stoics remind us the goal is not comfort, it's virtue. Virtue means living with courage, justice, self-control, and wisdom. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be on the other side of this storm? Don't just patch up the old life, build a new one rooted in meaning. Maybe that means pursuing work that matters, instead of work that merely pays. Maybe it means relationships built on truth, not convenience. Maybe it means prioritizing health, time, and presence instead of endless distraction. Your pain gave you clarity. Don't waste it. 6. Surround yourself with builders, not destroyers.
No one rebuilds alone. The Stoics valued friendship, mentorship, and community. Seneca said, "One man is no more a friend without another than he is a father without a child." If you want to rebuild, look around you. Who in your life encourages your growth? Who drags you back into old patterns? Who sees your potential, not just your past? Detach from those who thrive on destruction. Seek out those who build with you, friends who challenge, mentors who guide, communities that uplift. Rebuilding is not only about the bricks you lay, but the hands that help you carry them. 7. Turn pain into service. One of the most powerful ways to heal is to help others heal. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he existed to serve, not to retreat into self-pity. And the paradox of suffering is this: when you share the lessons you've learned, your wounds become wisdom. The person who overcame addiction helps others break free. The one who lost everything teaches resilience. The one who grieved deeply offers compassion no book could teach him. Ask yourself, how can my struggle serve someone else? In that question, pain transforms into purpose.
8. Practice gratitude for what remains. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain. It's about refusing to let pain blind you to what's still here. Epictetus said, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." If you lost much, you still have breath. You still have today. You still have the chance to rebuild. Write down 3 things each day you're grateful for. They may be small: sunlight, a meal, a single friend who stayed. But gratitude is the fuel of resilience. It reminds you that even in the ashes, there is beauty. 9. See this not as the end, but the beginning. Hard times feel like endings, but endings are illusions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make a beginning." The end is where we start from. The old life collapsed, yes, but from the ruins rises a new one, built with wisdom you did not have before, forged in fire you did not expect to endure. Don't just ask, "How do I recover what I lost?" Instead, ask, "Who can I become because of what I've endured?" That question turns pain into possibility. Closing reflection. If you are in the ashes right now, hear this: you are not broken. You are in the process of becoming. The Stoics did not seek a life free from hardship. They sought a life where hardship became fuel. And so can you. Accept what has happened. Detach from what was lost. Anchor yourself in discipline. Reframe pain as training. Rebuild with purpose. Surround yourself with builders. Turn pain into service. Practice gratitude. See this not as the end, but the beginning. You are standing at the ruins of the old, but remember, ruins are not the end. They are where new foundations are laid. So rise. Pick up one brick today. Lay it down with courage, then another tomorrow, until one day you'll look around and see not just a rebuilt life, but a stronger, wiser, freer self than you ever thought possible. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And the way forward begins now.
Welcome back to Stoic Flow, Successful, Fulfilled Friends.
Everyone wants change, but most people chase it the wrong way.
We set goals, we dream big, we wait for motivation, and then we wonder why nothing sticks. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, reveals a truth the Stoics knew centuries ago. Real transformation doesn't happen in grand gestures, but in small, repeated actions that shape who we become. In this video, we're going to explore how Stoic wisdom and Atomic Habits align, and how you can use them together to build discipline, peace of mind, and lasting change in your daily life.
1. Identity-based habits. We often chase goals like trophies, losing 10 pounds, earning more money, or reading a certain number of books. But James Clear, in Atomic Habits, reminds us that true change doesn't come from chasing outcomes. It comes from shifting identity. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" ask, "Who do I want to become?" This is exactly what the Stoics taught nearly 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He didn't say to merely perform good acts occasionally or to seek recognition for them. He urged us to become the kind of person for whom good action is natural. The Stoics understood that every action is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. Each time you choose patience over anger, honesty over deceit, or discipline over indulgence, you reinforce your identity as someone who lives with virtue. The power lies in repetition. A single act of courage doesn't make you courageous, but 1,000 small acts of courage, practiced daily, form the bedrock of character. So, don't simply aim to do virtuous things. Aim to be virtuous. See yourself as the kind of person who embodies wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. From there, your actions naturally align. Because the truth is, goals will come and go, but identity, the kind of person you are becoming, endures. And that is where real freedom lives. 2. The power of small actions. We tend to believe that transformation requires grand gestures, a sudden breakthrough, a dramatic life change, a bold resolution. But as James Clear reminds us in Atomic Habits, true change is rarely explosive. It's subtle. It's the quiet accumulation of small, consistent actions that compound into something extraordinary. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught, "No great thing is created suddenly." Just as a tree grows from an unseen seed and a sculptor shapes marble chip by chip, our character is formed not by rare moments of brilliance, but by the countless small choices we make each day. Think about it. Choosing patience in a single frustrating moment may feel insignificant, but when practiced over and over, it reshapes your nature. Choosing moderation at one meal may seem trivial, yet repeated daily, it becomes a life of temperance. Choosing honesty in one conversation may seem like nothing, but with practice, it forms a reputation and a conscience aligned with truth. This is the compound interest of virtue. Just as money grows when invested consistently, the soul grows strong when we invest in small, daily acts of wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. So, do not underestimate the power of what feels small. Every decision you make is training your soul. Every action is a step either toward vice or virtue. The Stoic asks, not what grand thing will I do today, but what small thing will I do well and repeat until it defines who I am. 3. Environment shapes behavior. We often believe our willpower is enough to carry us through any challenge. But James Clear, in Atomic Habits, makes an important observation. Your environment often shapes your behavior more than sheer discipline does. If you want to change your habits, change what surrounds you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They warned that the soul is impressionable, shaped by the people we spend time with, the things we expose ourselves to, and the environments we choose. Epictetus put it plainly, if you spend your time with idle men, you will become idle yourself. Think about your daily surroundings. If your environment tempts you toward distraction, you'll drift from focus. If you surround yourself with people who complain, you'll find your own spirit sinking into negativity. But if your space is ordered, if your companions embody discipline and wisdom, you will rise to their level almost without realizing it. This is not about perfection, but about alignment. A Stoic does not try to conquer every temptation head-on. They simply arrange their lives so that virtue is the natural path, not the difficult one. Want to practice temperance? Remove excess. Don't just resist it. Want to be more just? Spend time with those who live fairly and honorably. The truth is, we are always being shaped. The question is, by what? By chaos or order? By vice or virtue? By chance or by deliberate design? A Stoic chooses their environment wisely, knowing it is silently sculpting their soul.
4. The plateau of latent potential. One of the greatest frustrations in life is putting in effort without seeing results. You go to the gym for weeks, but the mirror doesn't change. You practice patience, yet still feel anger rising. You write daily, but your words seem clumsy. James Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. It's the hidden phase of growth, where your effort feels invisible, but transformation is quietly happening beneath the surface, like ice warming from 29 to 32 degrees. For hours, nothing seems to change, until suddenly, it melts. The Stoics understood this truth long before modern psychology. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. In other words, growth is interconnected, but not always visible. Virtue matures silently, deep within, before it reveals itself outwardly. Epictetus would say, you are not training for applause today, you are training for strength tomorrow. Just as an athlete doesn't see their muscles grow each time they lift, the philosopher doesn't see immediate results in character, but with patience, both are transformed. So, when progress feels invisible, do not despair. Trust that each repetition is shaping you, even if you cannot yet see it. Small actions compound silently until they break through suddenly. A Stoic accepts the hidden season of growth, because they know that true change is not immediate. It is inevitable if only you persist.
5. Goals versus systems. Most of us live chasing goals, a promotion, a milestone, a finish line. And while goals can give direction, James Clear points out in Atomic Habits that they are not what creates lasting progress. What truly matters are the systems, the daily practices that make the outcome inevitable. The Stoics would agree. They taught that outcomes are not within our control, only our actions are. Seneca wrote, "Our business is to play the assigned part well, but to choose it belongs to another." The Stoic does not cling to the goal, because the result is fate's domain. What belongs to us is the process, the system. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be calm," the Stoic builds a system: daily reflection, practicing patience in conversation, preparing the mind for adversity each morning. Instead of saying, "I want to be wise," they commit to reading, journaling, and questioning their assumptions daily. The paradox is that when you focus less on the goal and more on the system, you often reach the outcome anyway. But even if you don't, you still succeed, because you lived today with discipline and virtue. A goal can be missed, delayed, or denied, but a system, a way of living aligned with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is always within reach. So don't ask only, "What do I want to achieve?" Ask instead, "What system of daily actions will make me the kind of person I wish to be?"
6. Breaking bad habits with inversion. Bad habits rarely vanish through sheer willpower. James Clear teaches a principle called inversion. Instead of only trying to force good habits, make bad ones invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. In other words, weaken the roots of the habit until it withers. The Stoics understood this well. They warned us not to wrestle endlessly with vice, but to starve it of attention. Seneca wrote, "The mind must be freed from the passions if you would be happy." And the way to free the mind is not by fueling temptation with focus, but by quietly stepping away from it. Think about anger. The more you rehearse your outrage, the stronger it grows. But if you pause, withdraw, and refuse to indulge the flame, it fades. Think about indulgence. The more you keep your house stocked with excess, the more you'll consume. But if you remove the source, you practice temperance with ease. Vice thrives in an environment of attention and availability. But when you make it invisible, when you don't place yourself where envy, anger, or excess can feed, it weakens. Virtue, by contrast, becomes easier when you make it the obvious, simple choice. A Stoic does not merely fight temptation. They reshape their life so that virtue is supported and vice is starved. Because in the end, breaking a bad habit is less about overpowering it and more about refusing to give it oxygen.
7. The role of repetition over motivation. Most people wait for motivation before taking action. They think, "I'll work when I feel inspired. I'll practice discipline when I feel strong." But James Clear reminds us in Atomic Habits, action doesn't come from motivation. Motivation often comes from action. Repetition, not fleeting bursts of energy, is what shapes lasting change. The Stoics understood this long before. Epictetus taught, "If you want to be a writer, write. If you want to be a philosopher, practice philosophy." He didn't say, "Wait until you feel ready." He urged us to begin, and to begin again every day. Motivation is a mood. It rises and falls with circumstances. A good night's sleep, a burst of excitement, a surge of emotion. But repetition builds character regardless of how you feel. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the habit of acting rightly in its presence. Temperance is not occasional restraint, but the repeated choice of moderation over excess. Each repetition carves grooves into the soul, shaping who we are becoming. Skipping one practice matters less than the mindset of persistence, showing up again and again until the action becomes part of your nature. The Stoic does not ask, "Do I feel like it today?" They ask, "What is the right thing to do today?" And then they do it, regardless of mood. Because in the end, virtue is not built on inspiration, it is built on repetition. 8. Habit tracking and reflection. James Clear highlights a powerful tool in Atomic Habits, habit tracking. By recording your actions, you make your progress visible, and each mark reinforces your identity.
The act of seeing your efforts stack up becomes its own form of motivation. The Stoics practiced something strikingly similar long before charts and checklists existed. Each night, they engaged in reflection. Seneca wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I conceal nothing from myself." This was their form of tracking, not just counting actions, but weighing them against their values. Did I act with courage today? Did I practice justice in my dealings? Did I give in to anger, or did I master myself? Reflection provides feedback. It reveals patterns we might otherwise ignore. Just as a written habit tracker exposes whether you are consistent in exercise, Stoic journaling exposes whether you are consistent in virtue. It's a mirror for the soul. The power lies not in self-criticism, but in honest awareness. You cannot improve what you refuse to measure. You cannot strengthen a virtue you never pause to examine. So, at the end of each day, pause, write, reflect. Track not just what you did, but who you were becoming. Because the truest measure of progress is not whether you reached your goals, but whether your character is growing closer to wisdom and virtue.
9. The 2-minute rule. One of the greatest obstacles to growth is overthinking the start. We want to exercise, but we imagine the whole workout. We want to read, but we picture finishing the book. The weight of the entire task makes us hesitate. James Clear offers a simple solution, the 2-minute rule. Make every habit so small that it takes less than 2 minutes to begin. Want to read more? Just open the book. Want to meditate? Sit down and close your eyes. Want to exercise? Put on your shoes. Momentum carries you forward once you start. The Stoics lived by the same principle. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." He didn't tell us to conquer everything at once. He told us to begin, here, now, in the smallest way possible. Courage is not proven in a single grand act, but in beginning with small moments of bravery. Temperance is not about renouncing all pleasure at once, but about saying no once, and then again tomorrow. Greatness is built on beginnings, repeated daily. When the mind resists, shrink the task. Start with what you can do now, in 2 minutes or less. Once you begin, you are no longer fighting against the mountain, only taking the next step. The Stoic knows, the path to virtue is not walked in leaps. It is walked in simple, small beginnings, and those beginnings are always within your power.
10. The compound interest of character. James Clear describes habits as the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money grows when invested consistently, small habits compound into profound change over time. Each choice may seem insignificant on its own, but together they shape destiny. The Stoics framed this in terms of character. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is nothing more than the sum of thoughts and actions. Such as are your habitual thoughts, such also will be the character of your mind. One act of courage does not make you courageous, but 1,000 small acts repeated over years shape you into someone unshakable. One choice of honesty does not make you just, but living with honesty day after day makes justice your very nature. This is why the Stoics urged vigilance in the smallest matters, for every decision trains the soul, moving it closer to virtue or dragging it toward vice. And no decision is too small, because each one compounds silently, building the habits of tomorrow's self. Think of your daily actions as deposits in the bank of character. They may not seem to matter today, but over time they create wealth or poverty of the soul. The lesson is simple. If you want to live with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, invest daily in small acts of each. The returns may not be immediate, but they are inevitable. Because the greatest wealth is not measured in possessions, but in the compound interest of a virtuous life.
Resilience is not a gift handed to us by fortune, but a fire built within. A fire that must be tended through trial, patience, and understanding. Imagine a man walking through the streets of a city that never sleeps, burdened by losses he never saw coming. His business, once thriving, has collapsed. His closest friend has betrayed him. His health wavers under stress. To any observer, he seems to carry an invisible weight pressing him toward the ground, yet his steps do not stop. What keeps him moving? What is the invisible force that refuses to let him be broken, though life has struck with cruelty? That force is resilience, and it is not born from escaping hardship, but from embracing it. The Stoics taught us long ago that life will never be free from pain. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself that he must rise each morning expecting to meet the ungrateful, the arrogant, the treacherous, and still not be surprised, for this is human nature. Epictetus reminded us that we are not masters of what happens, only of how we choose to respond. Seneca observed that adversity is the forge in which character is shaped. And all these voices, echoing across centuries, tell us the same truth. Resilience is not resistance to suffering, but transformation through it. Consider a tree in a violent storm. A rigid, brittle tree will snap under the wind's pressure, but one with roots deep in the earth and branches that bend will survive. It does not resist the storm with stubborn pride, but with adaptability. So too must a person learn to endure. Life will strike us with storms, failed relationships, financial ruin, illness, rejection, betrayal. No one escapes. If we believe resilience means never bending, we will break. But if we understand resilience as the ability to bend without losing our roots, to suffer without losing our reason, then we can stand even when the sky itself seems to collapse.
Imagine the man again, walking home after the collapse of his business. He enters the small apartment, far different from the grand office he once had. For a moment, despair claws at him. He thinks of all he has lost, all the years of effort, and feels the sting of humiliation. Yet in that moment, he remembers the words of Epictetus, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can overpower my will." What was truly his had not been taken. His character, his reason, his ability to choose, his attitude, these were intact. Slowly, he begins to see his situation differently. He may have lost wealth, but he has gained clarity. He may have lost status, but he has been reminded of what cannot be taken: his integrity, his courage, his mind. Resilience begins here, in the recognition that what is most essential cannot be destroyed by external events. We suffer when we confuse possessions, reputation, or the opinions of others with our true selves. But when we see these as externals, when we place our identity in what lies within, we gain an unshakable strength. Fortune may strip away everything else, but she cannot strip us of the ability to endure with dignity. Yet resilience is not passive. It does not mean waiting in silence for life to improve. It means actively engaging with hardship, turning it into a teacher. The Stoics often compared life to the gymnasium. A wrestler who faces only weak opponents never grows strong. In the same way, a person who faces no hardship never develops resilience. Every obstacle,
is an invitation to train. The betrayal of a friend is a chance to practice forgiveness and caution. The collapse of wealth is a chance to practice moderation and creativity. Illness is a chance to practice patience and gratitude for what remains. Each hardship, unwelcome though it may be, is an opportunity to shape the soul.
Think of a soldier returning from battle, scarred but alive. His scars are not signs of weakness, but of endurance. They tell a story. He was struck, but he did not fall. He was wounded, but he endured. Resilience is like this. It leaves marks, yes, but these marks are signs of a life lived with courage. When we face hardship, we may not emerge unscathed, but we can emerge unbroken. And in time, those scars become reminders of what we are capable of surviving. This is why Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. To a resilient soul, obstacles are not dead ends, but stepping stones. Imagine walking through a dense forest, blocked at every turn by fallen trees and tangled roots. A person without resilience sits down in despair, cursing fate. But a resilient person sees each fallen tree as a chance to climb, each root as a chance to learn balance. The forest does not change, but the traveler's response does. This is the essence of Stoic resilience. Life will not always bend to us, but we can always bend to life. Still, resilience is not built in a single moment of crisis. It is built daily in the small choices we make. The discipline of the mind is like the training of an athlete. Each time we restrain anger instead of letting it explode, we strengthen resilience. Each time we accept what we cannot change, rather than drowning in frustration, we strengthen resilience. Each time we wake after failure and try again, we strengthen resilience. It is not one grand act, but 1,000 small acts of endurance and clarity that form the resilient soul.
But perhaps the greatest test of resilience is not when disaster strikes, but in the long, quiet struggles that wear us down slowly. The grind of daily stress, the dull ache of loneliness, the uncertainty of the future. These are battles often harder than a single dramatic loss. For these, the Stoics advise us to keep perspective. We must remind ourselves that time is short, that every moment wasted in despair is a moment lost forever. We must remember that nothing is permanent, not even pain. The waves of hardship rise and fall, and while they may seem endless, they too will pass. Resilience means enduring not just the sudden storm, but also the slow erosion of doubt and fear, holding firm to the belief that we can endure until the tide shifts. The man in our story eventually rebuilds his life, not in the same form, not with the same wealth or recognition, but with something greater: wisdom. He learns to live with less and discovers that freedom lies not in abundance, but in self-sufficiency. He learns that true friends reveal themselves in adversity, and he cherishes them more. He learns that the opinions of others are fleeting, and he grounds himself instead in the steady voice of his own reason. And though he would not have chosen his hardships, he sees now that they have shaped him into someone stronger, calmer, and more compassionate. This is the paradox of resilience. The very things that threaten to destroy us can, if we face them rightly, become the foundation of our strength. And so the lesson stands not only for him, but for all of us. Resilience is the art of living well through what we cannot control. It is the refusal to let external blows dictate the state of our inner being. It is the courage to say, "This I did not choose, but this I will endure." It is the wisdom to know that suffering itself cannot define us unless we let it. And it is the quiet triumph of rising each day, no matter how heavy the world seems, and continuing forward with dignity.
For in the end, resilience is not about surviving one great trial, but about living each day with the strength to endure, adapt, and grow. The Stoics remind us that fate will strike, fortune will shift, and all things external will come and go. But within us lies the power to choose our response, and in that choice lies our freedom. Resilience is not the absence of pain, but the presence of strength. And it is in this strength that we find not only survival, but the possibility of flourishing in a world that tests us all.